Flooding's been a huge issue for much of today. It was a damp afternoon at Alki Beach in Seattle. King tide quickly rushed in, covering the sand and nearly reaching the upper sidewalk. Luckily, the water receded and things are starting to dry out now, but it was a similar story in Edmonds. Police tell us water in some spots reached upwards of 2 feet deep. This is along Dayton Street near State Route 104.
In Mukilteo, the water got up so high that it pulled bits of driftwood back out into the water. You can see a little bit of it floating there in that video. The water even came up far enough to flood several parking lots near the ferry terminal. Parts of Whatcom County were also underwater today, and flooding closed the Roadier in Squalicum Way for several hours. The good news, that intersection is finally back open tonight.
Whatcom County is no stranger to flooding. Last November, the area saw historic rainfall, overflowing rivers, causing flooding so bad the federal aid was eventually sent to help people rebuild. Today's event was nowhere near what we saw in 2021, but it did cause considerable damage.
Fox 13, Zach Andrews joins us live from Bellingham. So, Zach, how are things looking out there?
Well, the water has receded quite a bit, but you can imagine that the people that live here, last year's storm was on their mind when they have the highest tide of the year inbound, which happened this morning, and then these westerly winds that pushes that already high tide inland. So that coastal flooding that we saw this morning was very reminiscent of what they saw last year. Fortunately, not as bad. Now, as some people were starting to return here, we met a couple, Ralph and Amber from Walla Walla. Fortunately for them, their place was spared in all of this, but they tell us what others have been repeating around this coastal area, these coastal towns. The tides have been coming closer and closer to these homes each year, and these storms seem to cause more and more damage.
There's been water up here for sure, but we're pretty fortunate. I know that there are people around here who have been hit pretty hard by it, you know, and it's becoming an annual thing. And you know, if you do believe in climate change and you believe the water levels are rising, I mean, what are we going to do? You know, we'll build a bulkhead, and for me, that'll be a lifetime, you know, project. But then we have our kids, and our kids will get this place, and you know, what are they going to be burdened with? You know, we just don't know.
Now, it's really impressive to imagine I would have been submerged this morning. The way these tides work, and tomorrow morning's tide is expected to be pretty high as well at about 10 a.m. Now, the National Weather Service has issued a coastal flood advisory. That's going to run from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. tomorrow, and the winds won't be gusting, as Lisa told you, as hard as they have been. But here in the North Sound, in Whatcom and Skagit counties, that will be a particular area of concern again, as these high tide and the westerly winds give the potential for more lowland, minor coastal flooding on our radar tomorrow. From Birch Bay, Zach Andrews, Fox 13 News.